Hey there everyone. So you notice different venue today. I'm over at my grandma's house, so not the same background, but I bet you're going to adapt just fine. So today we're moving forward with Unit 7, Lesson 7. And so far in this unit, what we've been able to do is we've kind of gotten through all of World War II, and we're still focusing on the home front. So what was happening at home during World War II itself. So the past couple days, you've gotten a broad overview of what the home front was like, and then you dug a little bit deeper with those presentations to see what some unique experiences for different groups of Americans were like within that time period. Now, there's one unique experience that I kind of held off on those because we're doing a full lesson on it, and it's the experience of Japanese Americans during World War II. So, you're going to basically see what happened to them and how, we brought up before that wartime brings about some new opportunities but major challenges as well. When we look at the experience of Japanese Americans, they were the ones that basically got the blunt force of those challenges, and we'll see what happened. All right? So, looking at today's essential questions, we've got number 2, 3, and 4. Number 2 is all about, remember, what was the effect of the war on Americans at home, right? So, how did they adapt and how did they respond? You saw that the past couple days, and we're having one more effect on one specific group. Next one, how did the government respond to the crisis? So we started war in 1941, right? And one of those responses was what to do at home for people that we were scared might sabotage our government. And a lot of that fear was aimed right at Japanese Americans because we were now at war with Japan. So that question kind of feeds into ultimately your axes paragraph or essay that you're going to write about whether the government made the right decisions during this crisis. And when you assess this and other things that happened, you can ultimately look at, did they make the right decision and why? Question number 4, what are the diverse perspectives on the government's response? So I always say this, that during any event, there's no consensus on whether something was the right course of action. And you're going to see that going on with the topic of Japanese American internment, that while the government supported it, not everyone did within their own time and long after it happened as well. Your key skill for today is corroboration. So what you're going to read is a bunch of different perspectives, either supporting or disagreeing with internment while it was happening, and then some perspectives of kind of like almost sort of, what's the word? Retrospective, where they're looking back and making those decisions. So you need to think, what are the backgrounds and perspectives of the authors and what are their claims? Now, the reason it's corroboration here is because you're looking at their different backgrounds and seeing why those different perspectives existed. Ultimately, what you want to tie into there is based on what you know about the author and their background, do they have biases that affect their reliability? Now remember, that's something on your source analysis assessment that you have to do for your chosen source, so you should do it for all the sources here. You could ultimately use one of these sources on your assessment, right? So the key concepts that tie into the content you're going to see, the broader one is that in times of crisis, the government has to make difficult decisions about balancing individual constitutional rights and the need to ensure national security. Now, when we look at the case of Japanese American internment means imprisonment, by the way, we can see that during World War II, American citizens of Japanese descent were put into concentration camps due to wartime hysteria, fear of attack, and racial prejudice. So ultimately, when we look at why did the government do this, there's going to be some justifications that you'll see from the government's perspective, but you're going to see from those who's experienced it that didn't really seem to be what was going on based on the evidence available. All right, so let's look at what your work is through your best friend Google Classroom. So you're going to go down to Unit 7, Lesson 7, and you're going to click on the document that's shared with you right there. I've already got it open. So essentially, you've got the skills right here, close reading, and sourcing. For all 6 documents that are provided to you, you're considering what is the author's perspective on whether internment was necessary and what is their reasoning for why it was necessary or unnecessary. As always, got to provide me a short quotation to justify why that is the author's claim. I will note that on source C, it's a video, so you can just list details from the video instead of a direct quotation. And then sourcing here is what I referenced in the directions earlier of considering the author's background to assess their reliability as a source. Right? Documents A through F. When you get to corroboration on the end, you'll notice that I'm only bringing up certain documents. So there's a certain perspective reflected by documents C and D, and a different one reflected by documents E and F together. So what I want you to do is look back at your work and consider how can those be grouped together, but then how are they different from each other as a result? And for each of them, what role might the historical context have in why these points of view are different from each other? So you want to look at who was expressing this perspective and when these perspectives were occurring. That might give you some hints as to why they had different perspectives. So you know how this works. Document, document, document. You'll notice that down here for this one right here, document C, it's a video clip. I've provided you the link to YouTube there and back on Google Classroom. I embedded it as there as well. Moving through the documents, you know what to do. So let's go back to the directions to finish up. So remember, you're considering what was the effect of the war on American groups, the specific one in this case, Japanese Americans that were put into these internment camps during the war, right? So they did not have their freedom. You are deciding, was the government making the right decision based on the decisions they made? And you're considering the author's sources and perspectives to understand how they're different from each other. All right, folks, that's it. You'll see me next time. Until then, bye-bye.